Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us today as we announce the results of a very important operation focused on the organization Mara Salvatrucha, also known as MS-13. As you can see, we have several speakers joining us today. We're very honored to have representatives from our partner agencies who helped U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement with this important effort. I am very happy to introduce U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement's Deputy Director, Tom Homan, who will speak first, as well as provide an introduction for his colleagues joining him today.
Good afternoon. My name is Tom Homan, and I want to introduce our law enforcement agency partners. On the stage with me, USCIS Director Francis Cisna, Deputy Chief of the Border Patrol Scott Luck, Deputy Assistant Attorney General David Rybecki, Associate Chief of the Border Patrol Intel Division Carl McLafferty, and Assistant Director of Correction Programs at Bureau of Prisons Frank Lara. I want to thank you for all taking time to come over and visit us this afternoon. Before I get started on the MS-13 announcement, I want to make a brief statement regarding Tuesday's announcement from the White House. I'm deeply honored by the President's nomination. Having served this agency and its predecessor for nearly 30 years, and in the Border Patrol for several years prior to that, it is especially humbling to have the opportunity to continue to work alongside the 20,000 dedicated men and women of the ICE workforce. Because of their tremendous dedication and hard work, we have made significant progress these past 10 months in enforcing our nation's immigration and customs laws and in protecting public safety and national security. Should I be confirmed, I will continue to be a strong advocate for the workforce and for the ICE mission. That's all I'll say about that issue today, because we're here to talk about the impressive achievements in ICE's efforts to target and dismantle MS-13. Today I am pleased to announce the arrest of 267 MS-13 gang members and associates in conjunction with ICE's most recent targeted anti-gang effort known as Operation Raging Bull. Led by ICE Homeland Security Investigations National Gang Unit, this successful operation continues our efforts to attack MS-13 both domestically and abroad, disrupting their financial networks. MS-13 terrorizes communities through violent crime and extortion in furtherance of its mission to rape, control, and kill. And MS-13 maintains a sophisticated global network that supports its involvement in a wide range of criminal activities in this country and others. In their relentless effort to expand gang membership and gain traction within our communities, they aggressively target our children in their schools. The violence they perpetrate is shocking and shows no remorse or even a basic respect for human life. Eliminating this threat is one of our highest priorities at ICE. To that end, we pursue RICO and VCAR and criminal conspiracy investigations using our statutory authorities, but we also possess a unique ability to take gang members off the street and prevent crime by leveraging both our criminal and administrative arrest procedures. By working with our DH partners on the stage, including U.S. Customs and Border Protection, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, ICE works closely with the Department of Justice, including the Bureau of Prisons, the Department of Treasury, and other state and local and foreign law enforcement counterparts. By focusing our combined authorities and energy toward dismantling violent transnational criminal gangs, such as MS-13, we will uphold our commitment to public safety and meet our national security mandate. Gang enforcement is something that residents from all walks of life can agree on, and something that law enforcement community can do together. What often goes unreported is that these same gang members are taking advantage of the immigrant communities from which they live, committing acts of horrendous violence against its residents, attracting violence from rival gangs, extorting small businesses, peddling street-level narcotics, and co-opting the youth and recruiting them into this gang. Our mission is to make our communities safer for all residents. Let me end with this before I introduce the next speaker. As I said during our last press briefing on Operation Matador, which was an MS-13 operation, I'll say it again today. This is a great operation, but we are not done. And we will not be done until we totally dismantle this organization. The President of the United States has made this a priority, and ICE joins him in this. So we'll continue to look at arresting every member, every leader, and every associate of this criminal gang. Now I want to turn things over to Derek Benner from Homeland Security Investigations, who will discuss this operation in greater detail. And Derek, congratulations, this outstanding operation.
Thank you, Mr. Holman. We're very proud to welcome our law enforcement partners to ICE today. This was the men and women of the agencies that these leaders represent. We worked hand in hand for months in this operation, so we're proud to welcome them today. As Mr. Holman said, transnational gangs are involved in a myriad of criminal activity that includes extortion, robbery, murder, human trafficking, prostitution, and many other crimes with a nexus to our international borders. Enhancing public safety goes to the core of what Homeland Security Investigation mission is. By taking criminal street gang members and associates off the streets, if they are here illegally, removing them from the country, we are addressing a significant security and public safety vulnerability. Operation Raging Bull. It was conducted in 2 phases. The first phase of the operation, which was announced previously, netted 53 arrests in El Salvador. This was a 18-month-long investigation that we announced the results of earlier this fall. The second phase of the operation was conducted across the United States between October 8th and November 11th, and that concluded with 214 MS-13 arrests nationwide. Of the 214 arrests made in the U.S., 93 were arrested on federal and/or state criminal charges. The remaining 121 were arrested on administrative immigration violations. 16 of those arrested were U.S. citizens, and 198 were foreign nationals, of which only 5 had legal status to be in the United States. 64 of these individuals illegally crossed the border as unaccompanied alien children. So before we open it up to further remarks and then questions, I wanted to share a couple of examples of the activity that occurred out in the field during this operation. So here in Baltimore, Maryland, there was an arrest and indictment of 4 MS-13 members on charges that include violent crimes in aid of racketeering and conspiracy to commit murder in aid of racketeering. In Denver, Colorado, there was an arrest of an MS-13 gang member and citizen of El Salvador who was wanted on an outstanding warrant for DUI and was found with 3 machetes in the possession of his vehicle. In Los Angeles, California, the arrest of an MS-13 member and citizen of El Salvador, the subject of an Interpol red notice for gang offenses, and is suspected to be involved with the murder of a police officer in El Salvador. To put today's announcement in context, HSI initiated Operation Community Shield in 2005. That's our international law enforcement initiative targeting transnational gangs. In the 12 years since that operation was started, HSI and our partner agencies have made nearly 60,000 gang-related and administrative immigration arrests. Of that number, more than 7,000 of those were individuals affiliated with MS-13. And I'll note as well, as we finish up fiscal year 17, HSI doubled the number of MS-13 arrests from the previous year in fiscal year 16, with almost 800 arrests of MS-13 members. Although these numbers are impressive, as Mr. Holman said, there's still a lot of work to do, which is why we are asking for the public's help. We have put the photos and crimes of our most wanted gang members on our public website. If you have any information on these individuals, please call our tip line, which is on that website. As Mr. Holman said, this is a high priority for ICE and HSI. We are committed to dismantling violent transnational gangs, such as MS-13, and when applicable, swiftly removing their members from the country. Their lawlessness will not be tolerated by the men and women of ICE or our federal, state, and local law enforcement partners. Thank you, and at this time, I'm happy to introduce Director Cisna from Citizenship and Immigration Services.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you all for coming. I'd like to begin first by congratulating Deputy Director Holman no better man to lead ICE. Thank you for the opportunity to share a few thoughts on this great collaboration between ICE, CBP, Customs and Border Protection, Department of Justice, and my agency, USCIS. USCIS is committed to safeguarding the integrity of the legal immigration system and to protecting the American homeland. We take threats to public safety very seriously. That's why we created our Fraud Detection and National Security Directorate, or FDNS, to ensure that immigration benefits are not granted to individuals who seek to defraud our immigration system or who pose a threat to national security or public safety, people like the MS-13 gang members that we're talking about today. FDNS conducts administrative investigations into any cases that appear fraudulent or pose a threat to national security or public safety. Our FDNS immigration officers work very closely with law enforcement partners and intelligence community partners to resolve potential fraud, national security, and public safety concerns. As we speak, they're working in offices around the country and the world to strengthen our nation's lawful immigration system and protect the public that we all serve. Every day, FDNS officers are working alongside their ICE counterparts on their document and benefit fraud task forces and on joint terrorism task forces all around the country. Operation Raging Bull is a great example of how we collaborate closely with our partners in the law enforcement and intelligence communities to ensure the exchange of up-to-date, comprehensive public safety information. For this operation, we at USCIS provided one of our FDNS immigration officers to work at the Operation Raging Bull Command Center as an embedded task force officer with the ICE HSI National Gang Unit. That individual reviewed asylum claims for MS-13 members targeted by the operation and assisted in compiling target packages for the immigration and/or criminal court proceedings of these gang members arrested during the operation. Our officer also shared information with appropriate USCIS offices regarding MS-13 members applying for other immigration benefits. As an additional collaborative effort to this operation, FDNS also notified ICE HSI regarding asylum applicants with strong ties to MS-13 or other significant gang indicators. Finally, our headquarters FDNS officers assisted in searching USCIS systems for information regarding 195 targeted MS-13 members and associates identified by the operation for additional vetting. We look forward to continuing to collaborate and share information with other Homeland Security components, as other law enforcement organizations and as well as other law enforcement organizations to identify and dismantle criminal enterprises. For our part, USCIS will focus our efforts on efficiency, fairness, lawfulness, transparency, expediency, protecting American workers, and safeguarding the homeland. These key priorities are the guideposts for ensuring the security of the nation and its citizens. Thank you.
I'd like to introduce Deputy Chief of the Border Patrol, Scott Luck.
Good afternoon. I would like to thank Deputy Director Holman for the opportunity to be here today and the members of the press in attendance. Operation Raging Bull is an excellent example of a whole-of-government approach and binational efforts the United States government takes to secure our nation. The MS-13 gang is a dangerous menace to our children, families, and citizens of not just the United States, but internationally. The gang preys on those who are young, weak, confused, and feel a need to belong. I am honored by the work of the men and women of the United States Border Patrol who made sacrifices every day to assist in efforts such as this operation to keep America safe. The United States Border Patrol coordinated with the Rio Grande Valley Sector Intelligence Unit and the El Salvadoran Joint Border Intelligence Group to detect, identify, and prepare target folders for confirmed MS-13 gang members within the United States. The target folders were then sent to the Homeland Security Investigations National Gang Unit for coordination and corresponding HSI field offices to effect the arrests. The direct efforts of the United States Border Patrol led to the arrest of MS-13 members illegally residing in the interior of the United States. The U.S. Border Patrol nominated an additional number of MS-13 gang members to the Transnational Organized Crime Watch List during this operation based on the intelligence gathered. This joint effort is not new. It is something we continue to do as law enforcement, and I look forward to continue working with my partners up here at headquarters as well as in the field to address not just this threat, but all threats we face. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Deputy Assistant Attorney General David Rybicki, representing the Department of Justice, and I'd like to thank Deputy Director Homan, everyone here at ICE, ERO, CBP, USCIS, and all of our federal, state, and local law enforcement partners for their tremendous efforts in executing this operation, which is such a significant step towards dismantling and eradicating MS-13 in the United States and in El Salvador. Here in the capital region, as you know, our communities are all too familiar with the brutality of MS-13. MS-13 members use violence to defend and augment their power and territory. They distribute illegal narcotics, they traffic in women and girls, and they extort business owners, both legal and illegal, throughout Maryland and Virginia, sending the proceeds back to El Salvador to support MS-13's activities there and in the United States. MS-13 is true to its motto of kill, rape, control. The arrests and takedowns announced today include defendants in 2 MS-13 cases from Maryland, which I'd like to briefly discuss. These cases are being prosecuted by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Maryland and by the Organized Crime and Gang Section of the Department of Justice's Criminal Division. In the first of these 2 cases, 8 members of the Sailors clique of MS-13, who are all now in federal custody, are charged with a number of violent crimes stemming from the gang's activities. Charges included in the 3rd superseding indictment in this case, which was unsealed yesterday in Baltimore's in Maryland Federal Court, include conspiracy under the Racketeering Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, that's the RICO statute, conspiracy to commit murder in aid of racketeering, Hobbs Act extortion conspiracy, and conspiracy to distribute and possess with the intent to distribute various controlled substances. 5 members of this MS-13 clique are also alleged to have participated in 3 murders and have planned a 4th between July 2016 and June 2017 in furtherance of MS-13's activities. As just one example of the gang's brutality, the indictment alleges that in July 2016, several members and associates of the Sailors clique lured a victim to a secluded area, attempted to shoot the victim, and then stabbed the victim to death. In the second of these 2 Maryland cases announced today, several members of the Hempstead clique of MS-13, based in Annapolis, are charged with violent crimes in aid of racketeering, conspiracy to commit murder in aid of racketeering, and related firearms charges stemming from attempted murders of 2 additional victims. These charges and arrests announced today represent a victory for the rule of law. They demonstrate law enforcement's sharpened focus on MS-13 and the Department of Justice's commitment to using every lawful tool at our disposal to disrupt, dismantle, and eradicate MS-13, and to confront the challenge of the recent rising trend in violent crime facing our nation. We cannot prosecute these cases at the Department of Justice without the assistance of our federal law enforcement partners throughout the federal government and the individuals you see on stage here today. So on behalf of the department, I want to thank them for their efforts and thank them for the work they do every day in defending the American people.
Thank you very much to each of our speakers. At this time, our ICE representatives will take questions. We're going to keep it to the ICE representatives for efficiency. If you have questions for one of our partner agencies, please direct those to their respective public affairs shops, and they will be happy to follow up with you. Please, as you have questions, raise your hand. We'll call on you. If you could please introduce yourself by name and title, and wait for the mic. A member of our press team will hand you a mic so that the folks listening online have the benefit of the full exchange. So with that, we'll take your questions. Ted, go ahead. The mic.
Hi, Ted Hessen with Politico. This is a question for Acting Director Homan. Kirstjen Nielsen, during her testimony, confirmation hearing testimony, said that she would prioritize serious criminals in the future and would send down a directive to ICE to let them know that. Do you expect that you'll be doing business differently in the future because of that?
Just to note that we want to keep the questions on topic to the Raging Bull operation. Mr. Homan, if you have anything you'd like to respond with that.
I haven't yet met with Kirstjen. She used to be the chief of staff for Secretary Kelly when he was the DHS secretary. Me and Kirsten have not had any conversation regarding this, so I don't know what to expect. I mean, I certainly think she'll agree with our enforcement efforts, but those conversations haven't happened yet, so I really can't answer that question.
Next question. Wait for the mic, please.
Yeah, hi, Fernando Pizarro, Univision. I've had this conversation with Director Homan on another occasion about in this case, you're saying 64 of these individuals crossed the border as unaccompanied minors, and many of the activists who always protest against the deportation of these kids, they say that they are running away from gang activity in their own countries. What's the correlation between these kids that come? I mean, I don't know if there's a percentage or, because there is a connection. Some of these kids come and they run away from gangs, and then here they are recruited, or they have links back home.
So we have several examples, as you described. We also have examples of people fleeing criminal charges in El Salvador that are actually MS-13 associates and coming here as well. Our strategy at DHS in terms of gang enforcement is to not only talk about security at the border, but a strong interior enforcement program, and then connect the border work to what we're doing in the interior. The second part of that strategy is to push our borders out and do more work with our international partners in places like El Salvador, where we have task forces that operate anti-gang investigative activity in El Salvador with our personnel in country. We also share a lot of information with our foreign partners as people are removed to those countries, so they're aware of affiliations and criminal histories and particular status of those individuals.
And if I can add to that, a few weeks ago, as you all know, the agency sent up a series of policy requests to the Hill to address a lot of issues to further control the border and illegal immigration. And some of those policies are going to address issues like, TVPRA, some of these policies that can be exploited and used by criminal organizations. So that's why that's one of the policy issues we asked Congress to look at and help us with. So definitely some UACs end up being bad people and enter the country to do bad things. That's why we asked for several policy changes in what we sent to the Hill.
Hi, thank you. I'm Beatriz. I'm with EFE, Spanish Newswire. I wanted to ask you about the first phase of the operation in El Salvador. Who carried out the detentions? Because you just said that ICE has some task forces there. So it was ICE or it was the police of El Salvador? If you could give us some details. Thanks.
So it was the police officials and government officials in El Salvador. Our task force operations, similar to other federal agencies here, we have vetted task force of host country law enforcement that we share information and intelligence with and plan operations to affect those kind of arrests in the particular country, in this case El Salvador. So this is not U.S. agents going out onto the streets in these countries and acting unilaterally. This is under the umbrella and the auspice of the national police and the authorities in El Salvador.
Thank you. Luis Alonso with EAP. Just to clarify, the 53 arrests in El Salvador, they were all during the first phase of the operation. This second operation is only U.S. arrests, correct?
That's correct.
And none of these arrests in El Salvador will be extradited to the U.S.?
I don't have the specific breakdown of the 53. I believe they're facing, a majority, if not all of them, are facing charges in El Salvador.
And time for just one or two more questions. Any takers? Oh, go ahead.
This is about, I'm Claudio Seda with Univision Network. This is for you, Acting Director Holman. I want to know, about TPS. How are you planning to deport TPS recipients when some already are saying that they won't leave the country? Just
Let's try to keep the topic on to Raging Bull today. We'll be happy to talk to you about that offline.
okay.
Any final? With no more questions, I want to thank again our law enforcement folks for being here today. Deputy Director Homan, Mr. Benner representing HSI. We also have Mr. Phil Miller representing enforcement and removal operations here at ICE, as well as our partners from USCIS, CBP, specifically Border Patrol, DOJ, including the Bureau of Prisons. We thank you for your tremendous work on this effort. Very successful announcement of a greater effort today, and we want to thank you for being here and sharing in this announcement. With that, I would point out for the press, we have put up, we can put up a graphic here of the most wanted. We are adding these individuals to our most wanted list. They will be on our website, www.ice.gov. So you can take a look there for additional information about these individuals. But in your reporting, if you would like to highlight those that we are continuing to search for, and our tip line is also available on our website. If you would like to drive the public to that information, we certainly would welcome any credible tips regarding these individuals that we continue to seek. With that, if you have final follow-up or additional follow-up, please reach out to my press staff at ICE Media, that's ICE Media, all one word, at ice.dhs.gov, and we'll be happy to get your response. With that, thank you very much for coming today, and thank you to our guests.